First off, I want to thank the brave men and women who work behind the wall. I want to thank them on a national level because their job goes unrecognized.
How do they try to turn a guard?
Well, correctional officer. Sorry, I apologize. But correctional officer. How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Gangi, host of Tier Talk. Great question sent my way through an email. Someone just became a supervisor, and they are in charge of the manpower. So basically, they're the one that assign people to their positions, both, in this case here, prior to the shift starting, and then, obviously, as the shift runs, they also assign people. And he wanted some tips. I think this is a great conversation to have. I never covered it before. So what we're going to discuss today is some tips for those supervisors that deal with the manpower. Now, again, I'll provide some general tips. I'm hoping that this can open up a discussion or dialogue for officers and supervisors. You know, what do you expect from a manpower supervisor, or if you're a manpower position yourself, what tips would you provide from your experience? So when we come back from our sponsors, we're going to discuss the manpower supervisor. I think this is going to be a pretty good discussion. I never did this before. So as always, guys, this show, Tier Talks for you brave men and women that work in corrections. So please subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. That bell's going to notify you every time I post up a video. I stand by for our sponsors.
I wanted to attend a university that had an intelligence program. I wanted to look at problems different. I wanted to increase my critical thinking abilities. AMU offered those avenues to expand. Obtaining your degree as an adult, you're actually paying yourself and investing in yourself. You can't put a dollar on it. It's priceless. It's something that can never be taken away from you.
American Military University. Learn from the leader.
Thank you guys for listening to my sponsor. This is a great conversation because I have a little bit of experience being a manpower supervisor, so I know how complicated of a position it is. It's a very complicated position because the key is you have to know where your people are at all time, which means that not only do you have to know where you've assigned them, but also where they've ventured off, and you have to get control of that immediately. And we'll get to that. And it comes, there's a bit of a difference between bidded and unbidded positions. Again, I'll have a dialogue on that in the near future because some facilities don't have bidded positions. So basically, the manpower supervisor is going to have to prep the shift a little bit, put people in their position. But for those that have bidded positions, most of the time the officers will, you know which officers go in what positions. And if someone calls out, that's really the only concern you have of placing somebody that would be new into that position. So for my discussion here, again, it's my experience, my perspective. Feel free to add your perspective. That's the key here, so we can keep a good discussion. My thing is going to be very general. Again, I don't know the specifics of the facility, so I'm going to keep my things very general so it can be applied universally. But my thing is I'm dealing with more of the maintaining of the shift as the day progresses. So not so much the preparation where you put the manpower, but to keep things moving. And I have some general advice that I think would apply universally, whatever facility you work at, whether it's a jail, prison, or detention center, correctional facility, whatever. One thing as the manpower supervisor, know where your people are at all times. You assign them, know where they are at. If they venture off, they better have a good reason, because first off, they should have called you, and then you would okay it. But if they didn't, get their justification. And if it's not a good enough justification, get a report. Because again, you are responsible for those individuals. Trust me, when there's a need for those individuals, your supervisors are going to be on your ass saying, hey, where are these individuals? I need them now. And you're here scrambling, and it's not good. Especially if there's a code or an emergency trip or something where those people are needed immediately. They go to you and they expect those people immediately because they know that you should know where those people are at that exact moment in time. Now again, if somebody ventured off, you better tell me. I better approved it. And if I didn't, you better justify it. And if you don't justify it, I'm going to want to report it because it may have to go further up. But usually I always give someone a chance to explain themselves. Also, as a manpower supervisor, I used to hate people that did the bare minimum. So like an example is if you had a break that had to be covered and you assign an officer to the break, and let's say the officer that was supposed to go on break decided that they didn't want to go on break. The officer doesn't tell you, and they kind of just float around, And it's like, you know what? I used to tell my people, and it's great advice here if you're the Manpower Supervisor, if there's a reason for that assignment that it doesn't have to be done, let's say it was done already, or in this case here, the person refuses a break, call the Manpower Supervisor back immediately, let them know, so you could be assigned elsewhere as needed, because you want to get those assignments done, because you want to get that manpower as free as possible. So if I have people refusing breaks, or if I'm giving out assignments and for some reason those assignments are done, let the Manpower Supervisor know, because then that frees up more manpower, and then it just helps me maneuver as the day progresses. So that's one thing. Also, fellow supervisors, whether you're a peer of the Manpower Supervisor or you're levels up, always tell the Manpower Supervisor that you're utilizing their people if you need to. Obviously, ask them for permission first, because they may have the person assigned to something. But don't just start picking out people and sending them somewhere and not tell the Manpower Supervisor, because they're going to be scrambling, and it's going to be the heat of the moment, and they're going to be pressured. You know, they're going to be pressured on them to get these people into these positions or whatever's needed, and they're not going to know where they are. And I've seen people explode, even at their supervisor, because they're the one that's being held responsible for that manpower, and now they're getting yelled at, they're getting reamed because they don't know where these people are, and it turns out that they were assigned. And remember, these jobs got to get done. So when you assign someone and you're not the Manpower Supervisor, and you don't tell the Manpower Supervisor, and you assign someone to a job and that job doesn't get done, that could set the facility back. A lot of the jobs we have are progressive jobs. You know, got to get A done so we can do B, so we can do C, so we can do D. So now you pull that one person off and you don't tell that Manpower Supervisor, well, there's a problem, because now the job didn't get done, and now it could set the whole facility back, and guess who's going to be held responsible? The Manpower Supervisor. So again, communication's key. So these are just 2 quick tips I could think of at the moment. I'm trying to think of specifics, but again, I want to be more general so it can be applied universally. So again, the accountability, know where your people are, hold them responsible, make sure they report to you the moment their assignments are done, so you know that they can be utilized, that they're free. You know, as soon as their assignments are done, let me know. Call me immediately, tell me that your assignments are done. Don't let them disappear. You know, don't let them hide. Be on them. Hey, I noticed that, you know, you were done with this break a half an hour ago. Why didn't you call me? You know, be on them. Be on them all the time, because someone is going to be on you. And talk to your peers when they decide to give directives to officers that are in your manpower and they don't tell you. Because again, you're responsible for them, and they should give you the courtesy, because you're the one that's going to be scrambling when your supervisor's on your ass to get those people where they need to be, and you don't know where they're at because they've been tied up to another assignment that another supervisor decided to give them without giving you the courtesy. I think it's going to be a great discussion. Looking forward to your comments. As always, guys, the show is Tier Talk. If you haven't, please subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. The bell's going to notify you every time I post up a video. All right, guys, stay safe.